Days of Our Lives, spoilers reveal that Gwen Rizchek's return is just around the corner, so look for her to appear on screen again starting July 7th. Since we know Gwen is quite rich now, she'll have plenty of cash to toss around once she's back on Days. Gwen managed to get her hands on Dmitri von Luschner's money and has been using it to fund her global travels. However, Gwen promised that Salem hadn't seen the last of her, so that's a promise she'll keep when she makes this dual homecoming. Days spoilers say Gwen will inevitably resort to some scheming since that's just who she is at her core. The fact that Gwen has money now will only make her plots more powerful. Since Gwen is returning right as Xander Kyriakis is launching a custody feud with Sarah Horton Kyriakis, could she get tangled up in that Days storyline? Xander is wealthy as well and could bribe the judge if he wanted to, but he might decide it's too risky. That's the kind of thing that could backfire on Xander if the judge doesn't get on board. Gwen, on the other hand, might be more willing to use her money and try to influence the custody outcome. What if Gwen decides she wants revenge for all the times her romance with Xander didn't work out? Gwen made a ton of mistakes when it came to her love story with Xander, but so did he. That's why Gwen might determine that Xander should pay the price. Xander is hoping for 50-50 shared custody of Victoria Kyriakis, but maybe Gwen could intervene and make sure he loses Victoria altogether. Then again, we should also consider the possibility that Gwen might have different motives. What if Gwen wants a Xander reunion instead? Could Gwen secretly buy Sarah a sole custody victory to ensure that she won't reconnect with Xander? Gwen probably wouldn't want Sarah and Xander's baby cramping her style anyway, so it'd work in her favor to bribe a judge for Sarah's win. Perhaps Gwen could swoop in and comfort Xander in the aftermath as a bonus. Bottom line, Xander is alone and facing a custody showdown right as rich Gwen's set to re-enter the canvas. It'll be interesting to see if all that fits into a new storyline involving Gwen, her ex, and some judge bribery. Gwen's Xander obsession could be back in full force, so stay tuned for updates on any troubling news ahead. Days of Our Lives spoilers say the custody case will definitely come with some surprises. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Wednesday, June 25th, reveal that Sophia Choi will send out an SOS, so Melinda Trask will come running for a meeting. Sophia is running out of time to find a couple to adopt her unborn child, so she'll count on Melinda for help. Tate Black doesn't approve of using Melinda as an attorney, but Sophia will move forward with using her anyway. Of course, Sophia has also been worried about Tate getting too attached to this baby, and Shane Donovan recently wondered the same thing. Tate claims he's holding firm on the adoption decision, but Sophia may admit her concerns to Melinda and hope to rush things along. Sophia may think that the quicker they lock in the perfect couple, the easier it'll be for Tate to let go. Over with Xander Kyriakis, he'll have an emergency plan involving Titan DiMera. Days spoilers say Xander will want to preserve his power there and do whatever it takes to fight off any threats to the combined company overall. As for Philip Kyriakis, he'll have another visitor on Wednesday's Duel episode. Days spoilers say Stephanie Johnson will put Philip through a grilling session about his obviously bogus claims regarding Xander's innocence. Nevertheless, Philip will refuse to give the cops a different story and will stand by the arrangement he's made with Xander. No matter what answers Philip offers Stephanie, he'll feel like honoring his deal with Xander is for the best. Other days, spoilers say Johnny DiMera is about to land on the hot seat with Marlena Evans. With Roman Brady by her side, Marlena will back Johnny into a corner and push for the truth about the night EJ DiMera was shot. Since Rachel Black blames Johnny for going after EJ, Marlena will offer updates on that shocker. Johnny will feel over Rachel's news and acknowledge that he pulled a gun on EJ, but he'll assure Marlena that he never fired it. Even so, Days of Our Lives spoilers say Johnny's dramatic arrest is coming up before the week wraps up, so stay tuned. It's a new day in Salem, but not just any old day. As the town wakes up, they are preparing for Paul and Andrew's wedding. As the grooms are getting ready, Eric admits to Brady that he's never officiated at a same-sex wedding. Brady, in turn, is happy to be Paul's best man, but wishes it could have been John. While discussing recent events, Brady admits he doesn't believe Philip's claim that Xander wasn't responsible for his beating. Things get a bit awkward when Brady admits he ran into Nicole, who's apparently swung through town to visit Holly. Noting that she and Eric have both been evasive, Brady asks where they stand. Eric admits he doesn't know. Steve wakes up a very happy man, asking Kayla where she learned the new moves she used on him the night before. She breaks out the One Stormy Night manuscript, conveniently at their bedside, and they giggle over some of the sex scenes. Distracted from getting ready for their big day by a little hanky-panky, Paul later admits to Andrew that he's worried about their future. They'll be doing the long-distance thing, and Andrew's career is one that will constantly put him in danger. But Andrew insists they're going to have a long, happy life together. He presents Paul with a gift from Marlena, John's wristwatch. When Rachel shares that she didn't sleep well, Marlena understands why. She heard the girl say, "Don't shoot him," while experiencing a nightmare. Is there something Rachel wants to share? Hearing that Kristen told her daughter not to tell anyone only makes Marlena more concerned. Taking a deep breath, Rachel blurts out her secret. "I know who shot my Uncle EJ." With a bit of prompting, Rachel reveals that Johnny shot EJ. The next time we see Rachel and her grandma, they are arriving at the park for the wedding. Before Marlena can tell Brady what his daughter said, he's called away. The concerned shrink calls Roman, suggesting they talk after the ceremony. Shane and Tate meet in the square and discuss Sophia having gone into false labor. They discuss the baby and how Tate feels about the whole situation. "Is it possible you're having second thoughts about giving the baby up for adoption?" Shane asks. Tate says he has no regrets, as he and Sophia are too young to be parents. He does, however, worry that the child might feel abandoned, leading to a conversation about Shane's daughter, Eve, and the traumas she underwent, in part out of a feeling of having been rejected. But Shane insists it was a different situation, adding that Tate and Sophia are doing the right thing. Carrie admits over coffee at the pub that she's worried about Sis Belle. Although concerned about how everyone in the family feels, Belle decides she's going to follow her heart where EJ is concerned. Will joins his favorite aunts, explaining that Sonny won't be able to make it. Soon, all of Salem has gathered for the wedding. Kayla offers to be a substitute mom for Andrew since Kimberly can't attend. Paul asks Marlena if she wants the watch back after the ceremony, but she says it brings her great joy that he's wearing something John loved on this special day. The ceremony begins, with elements which reflect Paul's Japanese heritage, followed by the exchanging of vows. During the vows, Paul recounts how their first meeting led to an adventure involving a black tie gala, guns, poisoned gas. But what he remembers most is how they bonded. "I love you, Andrew," says Paul. "That is my truth." Eric pronounces them married, and they hug. Brady gathers everyone for a toast, claiming he was the cool one in the family until Paul came alone being all athletic, handsome, and above all, nice. Shane then steps forward to call Andrew his pride and joy. Rachel declares the whole thing boring before making a run for the cake. Carrie says she's leaving town, but not before swinging by the pub to say bye to her dad. Shane suggests that after the honeymoon, Paul should join the ISA so that he and Andrew can be together in Washington. Marlena thanks them for not postponing the wedding, saying that, "We all needed a double dose of life-affirming joy." They say that John was no doubt looking down on them and then look up to see a beautiful rainbow. We've got good news for DiMera fans, as Stefano's firstborn is back on our screens once again. Tony's returned to Salem, not just to be there for family like EJ and Carrie, but to reclaim the family birthright and set the DiMeras back on a path of ascendance. At least, that seemed to be his hope when he first got home to Salem. But while he tried to convince Chad and EJ that the family was stronger together, and they could take back the company from Titan, neither brothers seemed that interested. Nor, we're guessing, is Kristen, who's got her hands full with Rachel right now. But there's still one sibling left who could be convinced to join with Tony to get DiMera back. But that's only if Stefano's oldest son can find him. And right now, he seems the only one who even wants to find Stefan. Days of Our Lives first got our attention back at the beginning of May, when EJ got a bizarre get-well card from Stefan after awaking from his coma. It didn't make sense to us that the man who we last saw being knocked out and kidnapped by Vivian was casually sending EJ glad tidings. But then nothing was mentioned of Stefan again, so we figured, okay, maybe that was just acknowledging that he was still out there. But then, on Monday, Tony returned, and with him a whole slew of questions. First, he asked Gabby if she'd heard from Stefan. No, and she was happy to keep it that way. Tony then said that he and Anna tried getting in touch with him during their travels and heard nothing back. Chad suggested that Stefan finally cut ties with the DiMeras like he'd threatened many times, but we know that's not why he left. And then, EJ chimed in with mention of the Get Well card, saying he stopped reading once he saw who sent it. Put all together, and it seems like the show may finally address where Stefan's been since Vivian swiped him, and with Tony looking for some sibling allies, has us thinking more strongly than ever that he's destined to return. And EJ, mentioning Stefan's card and saying he assumed it was just a Get Well card, has us wondering if it was in fact something more. Looking back at that scene, all EJ did was growl Stefan's name and crumple up the card. But what if there was something more to it? It seems utterly bizarre, after all, that Vivian would ever be able to keep him from Salem without resorting to force. And if he's been a captive all this time, he's surely been trying to figure out an escape. So what if Vivian had let Stefan send a card to his brother, only for him to slip a coded message in it? A message that EJ didn't even bother to read. Back when he rejoined Days of Our Lives, Thao Penglis promised that DiMera is back. And that could mean the DiMera company, but it could also mean the family. And now that Tony's rejoined EJ, Kristen and Chad, it seems like there's just one DiMera left to return to make the latter truly come true. Now that Tony's come back to town and someone in the family finally cares where Stefan is, we're willing to bet he'll be back before we know it. Days of Our Lives spoilers have revealed the promised shocking revelations coming after John Black's death. Now that John's funeral has taken place and everyone is getting back to their normal lives, let's take a look at what is coming up in July. What twists and turns do we have to look forward to this month? Gwen Rischek is back, and of course, when Gwen goes, drama follows. However, now that Gwen has managed to get her hands on Dmitri von Lochner's fortune, she is now a very rich woman. Gwen will certainly come back to Salem to show off her wealth and confront some people she used to be close to. It seems that Gwen will finally patch up things with Leo Stark, because she certainly has no other friends in Salem. Of course, this is also opening them both up to new trouble in the future. Currently, Leo is getting himself even more involved in Doug Williams' issues, and could certainly find himself in way over his head any minute now. Holly Jonas and Ariana Ari Horton could find themselves kidnapped by the men that Doug Williams is indebted to. Leo has been loaning Doug money to help pay this off, but they are still threatening the girls. Will Holly or Ari end up being hurt because of Doug's choices? Baby adoption drama will arise between Sophia Choi and Leo Howard, as they will have some disagreements concerning the baby. Tate may want to keep the baby, and for them to raise it together, something Sophia is very much against. Will Tate decide to raise the baby on his own as a tribute to his grandfather, John Black? Days writers have certainly alluded to the fact that Aaron Green could be this baby's father instead of Tate. Some spoilers suggest that the baby might need a blood transfusion, and Tate isn't a match. Will Aaron be proven to be the baby daddy? Will Aaron ever get the chance at romance with Sophia, especially if he's her baby daddy? Meanwhile, Aaron's sister Kat Green may be called away on an ISA assignment that causes her to have to lie to Chad DiMera once again. Chad and Kat's bond is said to deepen in July. Will Kat tell him the truth about her illustrious past by informing him that she is an ISA agent? Fans already know that Sarah Horton and Xander Kyriakis' custody battle heats up. Of course, Sarah has some issues that certainly cause problems with a custody hearing. Xander isn't really any better. Where will their daughter end up? It also appears that Johnny DiMera will be arrested for shooting his father. However, Johnny will be cleared, and this will set the stage for the reveal of who shot EJ DiMera. This still promises to be a shocking reveal as well. Days of Our Lives, spoilers for Tuesday, June 24th, hint at some interesting moments in the land of Salem. Two lovebirds say, "I do," while a granddaughter confides in her grandmother, and someone has buyer's remorse. What's set to unravel on Tuesday's show? Time to find out. Days of Our Lives, spoilers for Tuesday, June 24th. Note that Andrew Donovan and Paul Narita will gather their friends and family as they say, "I do." The good news is that these two will move forward with their nuptials, despite recently losing John Black. The bad news? They'll be headed out of Salem shortly after their wedding, so their run in the little town will wrap up after this big life event. Across town, it sounds like little Rachel Black will share a secret with her grandmother, Marlena Evans. How will Marlena react when Rachel tells her that Johnny DiMera shot her uncle DiMera? From the looks of it, Rachel's Tuesday confession will have a domino effect that eventually leads to Johnny's arrest by the end of the week. Days of Our Lives. Spoilers for Tuesday note that Shane Donovan will feel as if Tate Black will have buyer's remorse. Will the grandfather be spot on regarding his grandson's feelings? Lastly, Belle Black will be happy that Carrie Brady is around so that she has a sister to lean. Belle is reeling over her breakup with EJ, plus the passing of her father, so it'll be nice to have Carrie to talk to. With that said, Sammy Brady is on her way back to town at some point soon, so is this sisterly chat foreshadowing drama in the near future? Fans will have to tune in to find out. Are you excited about Tuesday's show? Comment below. Check out the popular Peacock Soap Daily for your dose of Salem drama, and visit SOS often for the most up-to-date Days of Our Lives news and spoilers. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Wednesday, June 25th prove that Johnny can run, but he can't hide. EJ may be desperate to get back into his son's good graces, but Marlena and Roman know that sometimes tough love is the way to go. Johnny and EJ discuss the whole, looks like I shot my dad. But let's keep it a secret, dealio. EJ wants to make up with his son, so he is happy to let Johnny set the lead for what they should do next. Marlena and Roman, on the other hand, are pooling their resources and their suspicions. They feel certain Johnny is hiding something. Will he tell Grandma and Grandpa? And what will they do with their newfound information? Going into false labor lit a fire under Sophia, reminding her that she and Tate have yet to find adoptive parents for their baby. Now that Chanel and Johnny have fallen through, there are obviously no more viable candidates in Salem, or all of America, really. So, Sophia turns to Melinda for help. Considering she lost her precious Haley, could Melinda decide to adopt the child for herself? While Xander figures he's now free to pursue business, it's not like he has a personal life, such as a wife and daughter, to distract him. Stephanie is curious about Philip's memory loss regarding who put him in a coma. She knows about Philip's lies about Victor's will and why he has to tread carefully. He's made her keep secrets already. How many more is he expecting her to keep for him? Have a sizzling fan theory you're dying to share? We'd love to hear it. Send our managing editor all the juicy details at amber@soaphub.com. Your twist might just be the next hot topic. John's obituary became a main topic after his recent death on Days of Our Lives. But if you ask us, it wasn't written by the right person. Salem has always been filled with writers, from Jack and Abigail to its latest, Leo. Leo started at The Spectator as Lady Whistleblower and now works as the paper's investigative reporter. So when the time came for John's obituary, the job automatically went to Leo. Granted, Leo did have a connection with John, once believing he was his father. But the actual Salemite, who had the closest relationship with John and a way with words, is Will. Will has become an established writer, his most notable work being A Very Salem Christmas. But despite his return to Salem to say goodbye to his grandfather, he wasn't asked to pen his obituary. Instead, the job fell to one of his biggest enemies. Ironically, this isn't the first time Leo snagged a writing job meant for Will. When Kate and Abe were seeking a head writer for Body and Soul, Will was Kate's first choice. But when her grandson turned it down, the job ultimately went to Salem's signature writer, Leo. Do you think Will would have been a better fit to write John's obituary? Let us know in the comments. Have a sizzling fan theory you're dying to share? We'd love to hear it. Send our managing editor all the juicy details at amber@soaphub.com. Your twist might just be the next hot topic. Andrew and Paul got married during the Tuesday, June 24th episode of Days of Our Lives. But that wasn't the only thing that went down. Brady briefly discussed Eric's relationship troubles with Nicole. Shane gave Paul a job at the ICE so the two could live their happily ever after on the same coast. Shortly before the beautiful ceremony, Rachel came clean to her grandma Marlena. According to Rachel, Johnny shot her uncle EJ. She confessed this news to Marlena, even though she was reluctant. Kristen told her that if she revealed what she knew to anyone, Rachel Blake would go bye-bye forever. So that's why she was trying so hard to hold it in. But there was no way she could, and the truth started seeping out in a couple of different ways. She talked in her sleep, which Marlena witnessed, and it did a massive number on her stomach, which is why Kristen and Brady had to keep taking her to the hospital. Holding back the truth made her sick. Hopefully, now that he has told her grandmother, she will no longer have stomach troubles. The question becomes, what is Marlena going to do with the news? This is her grandson, and she will want to protect him. But she's going to want to deal with this sooner rather than later. What a beautiful ceremony. It was also an emotional event, as Paul and Andrew's family gathered together to see these two become husband, and during Pride Month to boot. The show even marked the occasion with a rainbow. John's spirit loomed large over the wedding as Eric officiated it. Brady was best man, and Carrie helped out with this cool Japanese wedding tradition. Rachel may have called it boring, but it was anything but. Andrew and Paul's vows were emotional and perfect, as they reflected on their history and shared their story and their love with their friends and family. Marlena was especially appreciative that Paul and Andrew didn't postpone their nuptials. She said they all needed this double dose of life-affirming joy. Unfortunately, the conclusion of this ceremony means many of the characters that returned for John's funeral and the wedding will now go back to their own lives. Carrie already said she had to catch a plane and wanted to go see Roman before she left. We started getting used to all of them being back. It would be nice if they could stick around longer. What did you think of Paul and Andrew's wedding and Rachel's confession? Anybody tear up? Let us know in the comments. Days of Our Lives sees that it has been confirmed that Chad DiMera has been officially recast. Little hints were dropped on social media by Young and the Restless soap actor Connor Floyd just days before the official announcement. I can't remember if I mentioned the hint about the recast in the weekly spoilers, but I saw it several days ago before the official news broke. We're going to talk about the new Chad coming to Salem and what we expect to see in terms of plots for Abigail Devereaux's widower, now that they are breathing new life into the character after the existing actor quit. So, you've probably heard that Billy Flynn walked away from the role of Chad DiMera, and he landed a great role over on Young and the Restless. He is playing a recast of this character called Kane Ashby. And it's kind of an interesting recast because the character is a good 10 years older than Billy Flynn is, and the actor who last played him is significantly older and Australian, and a supposedly reformed con man. So, they really had to redo the character to make it a fit for Billy Flynn. He's American, not Australian. They're ignoring the age gap, stuff like that. So, he debuted in the role last week playing Kane, and he already seems to be a hit with the fans. And this is really ironic because it's a YNR actor who's coming to Days of Our Lives as recast Chad. It's this soap opera flip-flop. And what's really funny is this week on Young and the Restless, we've got Billy Flynn in scenes with Connor Floyd, and Connor Floyd is going to be coming to Days to take over the role. So, we have new Chad and old Chad in scenes over on Young and the Restless. So, it came out in March that Billy Flynn had quit Days, and we've been wondering what would happen to the character of Chad DiMera, but with 8 months tape to air delay, it's going to be a while before we see the last of Billy Flynn on the Peacock soap. You know, we've been wondering if Chad was going to slide out of Salem to, go try and find Abigail Devereaux's remains or some other plot to explain an absence. But now we know hunky Connor Floyd began filming this week as the recast version of Chad. So for many Days of Our Lives fans, handsome, blue-eyed Billy Flynn will always be their Chad. But to be fair, he is also a recast in the role. Billy was the second actor to play the part of Chad. However, he's played it the longest for more than a decade, so he's the Chad that most fans know and love. So I'm sure there's going to be that initial phase where people need to, be convinced to accept Connor Floyd as Chad recast, the sole good brother among the large and evil DiMera family. But if you've been watching Days for a while, you may recall his predecessor. You know, Billy obviously was not the first hunk to play Chad. Casey Diedrich originated the role back in 2009, and he played Chad until 2013. And then in 2014, Billy Flynn took on the role. However, when news of Billy's departure hit, obviously Days fans were wondering if the new writers were going to kill Chad off, at least temporarily. You know, death's not a permanent thing on Days, or have him go off on an off-campus adventure, or recast the character with some new actor. And they did. They found a real hunk. They have recast with Connor Floyd as the beloved character of Chad, and he's coming off a 3.5-year stint on The Young and the Restless as Legacy Offspring and Detective Chance Chancellor and I. In fact, Connor was a recast in that role as well. So he understands winning over fans when you replace somebody that's in a pivotal role. And we know that Connor is already taping at Days of Our Lives. He started this week, but due to the 8-month advanced taping schedule of the show, his first scenes as Chad DiMera won't air until 2026. And we know Billy Flynn's final days wrap up in early 26, but it may be March or even April until we see Connor Floyd in the role. And right now, of course, Chad is very busy. He is a single father to Thomas DiMera and Charlotte DiMera. He's in this casual friendship borderline situationship with Kat Green, who turns out to be an ex-ISA analyst out of left field, right? And of course, Chad's running the Salem Spectator, the legacy of his late wife Abigail Devereaux. Plus, we've had Gabby and his brother Tony DiMera wanting him back to DiMera Enterprises to get it out of Xander Cook's and Philip Kiriakis' hands. But Chad doesn't want any part of the company because it's just a shady criminal operation he said was funding other criminal activities, which is true. So we could see new Chad once recast Connor Floyd is in place back at the helm of DiMera by the time he replaces Billy Flynn. You know, we could see that Chad will have fought to take back DiMera from the Kiriakis creeps and turn the family business legit. Maybe. We also suspect that Kat Green could try to rope Chad into digging into his brother E.J. DiMera's recent acquisition of Salemese University Hospital. She was left no choice by Shane Donovan. So, he reactivated Kat as an ISA analyst again. So, Chad may still be helping Kat dig into EJ's interest in the hospital when Connor Floyd takes over the role. Plus, Days of Our Lives fans know Chad and Gabby had feelings for each other back when Abigail faked her death several years ago. So, we could see Chad develop feelings for her again. Gabby's a free agent. She split with JJ. Kind of hard for him to convince his ex to take him back when he accused Gabby of attempted murder. Awkward. So, Chad and Gabby had an interesting chat this week where he insisted he's not dating Kat. And with Stefan DiMera gone, although he did get a name drop this week, you know, they're both single. So, we could see Gabby and Chad heating up. If not now, later, when it's Connor Floyd in the role. And there's also a chance that there could be a lapse, a lag between Billy Flynn's last exit as Chad and Connor Floyd's first episode as Chance. I believe there is going to be a gap. So, the question is how big, and how will they explain it? You know, we could see them slide Chad off the character canvas and say he went to Boston with the kids to visit Jack Devereaux and Jennifer Horton for a few weeks. Or like they sometimes do on Days, they just sideline people and don't really explain where they are. They just do stuff with other characters. Or maybe Chad gets some kind of clue about where his late wife Abby's remains are, and he runs off to try and find them. Or Chad gets word that Abby was never dead in the first place, goes to find her. And another possibility for Chad's departure, as Billy Flynn exits and Connor Floyd debuts, is maybe Chad decides to go find his missing brother Stefan DiMera, because he was just name-dropped, and the DiMera brothers are beginning to wonder why they can't reach him. So, while Chad and Stefan DiMera, you know, weren't close, not at all, because he preyed on Abby. When she did, still Chad may help Tony DiMera search for Stefan DiMera to explain his short absence as they transition actors over to Connor Floyd. But for now, we still get to see Billy Flynn on Days of Our Lives as he wraps up his iconic role as Chad DiMera until final scenes early next year, and then Cutie Pie Connor takes his place. We will let you know when we have a final air date for Billy Flynn and a debut date for Connor Floyd. So the timing is the reveal of Billy Flynn's exit was March 15th, and the casting reveal of his replacement, Connor Floyd, came this week. Now, we know Billy wrapped filming at days at least a month, possibly 6 weeks ago, because his first air date on Young and the Restless was June 19th, and they only tape about a month or so ahead. So we're looking at a gap of at least 4 weeks, possibly more, between Chad actors as they swap. So check back for news on that soon.